Thanks for having me. My name is Arthur Traldi. I'm an international humanitarian law attorney, among other things. And in my career, I've been lucky enough to work at some of the largest international institutions doing war crimes cases, including a long stint as a prosecutor at the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. I was pretty lucky, I think. I applied and I got selected. I was passionate about this kind of work, so I was coming from ICTR, where I'd been working for a panel of judges, and I applied to move into prosecution. Like many people at the tribunals, I was given a short-term contract, about 6 months, and my senior trial attorney at the time told me there was no chance I'd be renewed, so I should plan to go home. I remember doing a bunch of work the first few months, and I don't remember doing much planning, so it was really good luck that somehow a longer-term spot freed up. I wound up spending 8 years all told at ICTY and doing work that meant a lot to me there. We all work in teams at the tribunals, and the Mladić case illustrates how necessary that is, how impossible it would be for anybody to do a case like one of these alone. It was a case with these massive factual allegations, 10,000 or more murders, with a massive quantity of evidence, about 600 witnesses, about 10,000 admitted exhibits. And it took a very long time, about 5.5 years from opening statements to the trial judgment. We had a great team. Many of the most meaningful professional relationships of my life came out of that trial. And so the process was really lots of us working like crazy together, spending more time with each other than with our families, collaborating, arguing, and mostly trying to come as close as we could to doing work that was worthy of the gravity of the allegations, of the historical nature of the case, and most importantly, maybe worthy of the courage that witnesses were showing to come and testify about what had happened to them. And so what I remember most maybe about receiving the verdict was receiving it and then talking about it as a team and getting to be together on what was a really meaningful day for all of us. 5.5 years is a long time, and some of the lawyers who'd been very important to our case and to me had moved around the world. So I was particularly grateful that a lot of them came back and we got to be there together for judgment. So one common misconception, I think, is for people to focus too much on the lawyers and judges and forget all the people whose work is necessary to make a trial go. Starting with the witnesses, obviously, but going from the interpreters, who often in an international case are essential to help the lawyers and the witnesses understand each other, to the investigators who actually collect a lot of the evidence, to people like our case manager on Mladić, who are prepared and organized, and without whom court would never go as smoothly as it does. So when I stood up in court, I'd be channeling the work of a huge number of different people, and I think a lot of them went unseen. That's a really thoughtful question and a good one for people who are thinking about getting into the field to be aware of. I think I'd say probably a couple of things about it. First, just to be fair, that the most important people who are going through something hard during the trial are the witnesses, especially survivors, not us. And second, maybe relatedly, that a lot of us who do this work draw a lot of strength from the inspiration we get working with people who've survived terrible things, gone through terrible things, and still have the strength and the grace to talk about them truthfully, to work with us, and that we see we get to see that kind of human courage on a day-to-day basis. And third, that for me, I was lucky and was able to draw strength from my teammates. In this respect, particularly, I think I had really good mentors. I think especially about Camille Bibles, who's now a federal judge, but her among many others, who created an environment where people could take care of themselves and feel supported. And I've tried to do the same for my own teams as I got more senior. Absolutely. We're blessed to live in a democracy, and democracy works best when people understand the issues, especially the really big ones like war and peace. So when we consider those issues as a democratic society, it's helpful if people understand what the rules are about how states are allowed to fight. And so I think the work that you at the Red Cross and others do in spreading understanding about these laws and rules is really important.